Welcome to episode 4.
Alpha.
Alpha. Welcome to episode 4 of Ebony and Ruth podcast. Yeah. We always look forward to
Let's
this.
do it again.
Again?
Let's
Okay.
say podcast. Oh, we need to do it at the same time. This time it didn't work out.
Okay, one more time.
Podcast. Thank you.
Yeah, that was close enough.
That was close enough.
My wife just loves ASMR. She wants to do everything like that. It's like,
No. We started this, so we have to continue.
oh no, you started it. Now I have to continue.
Yes, now we have to continue. For those guys who have not listened to episode 3, you missed out on a lot of laughter, silliness, and joy.
Yes.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we went into details into a lot of stuff that we couldn't talk about in the previous episode. So you want to check it out.
Definitely. Go check it out on Spotify, on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And follow us if you haven't followed us yet on our socials like Instagram, TikTok, etc., etc.
Etc. I don't know how many more we have, but yeah. YouTube for sure. Subscribe.
Yeah. Hit the like button.
Some of you are watching, but you're not subscribing.
Share, guys.
Based on the YouTube algorithm,
yes,
there are more people watching than are subscribed, or maybe more people subscribed. I'm not even sure anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys all need to
subscribe.
Then we're going to make a song for that.
Yeah, because it means the world to us. It means that you guys are interested in our content. You're interested in our, I wanted to say table talk, but it's no longer table talk, in our podcast. You're interested in our lives. We still want to do some vloggings once in a while.
Yeah.
We still somehow have some videos that we shoot or shot. And
it's not happening.
So
it's been forever. It's been forever, and we
happening?
can't really put it together and post them because, man, so busy, crazy
life.
Like we really have to
busy
be.
life.
We really have to be like with the podcast. We have to be quite intentional to say, okay, we must do this, even when we're like exhausted or tired after a busy day. You know,
we couldn't record the time when we wanted to record with this podcast. Actually, with this episode, because I was not feeling well. And so we couldn't really do it. So we had to postpone it.
But it's still going to be on time. When you see this, it's going to be on time. But we try to record it way beforehand and have a couple of them available.
Yes.
Because, some weeks are okay and some are like...
just tight.
Crazy tight or busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But today we'll be talking about something very important. We actually did some research into it.
Yeah.
And we feel like it's really crucial in the marriage. So
it was a crucial part in our marriage also.
Yes, it is.
From the very beginning.
Was, and it still is, yeah.
So we're going to talk about finances.
Finances in marriage. But like with the theme, is it your money or is it our money?
Yes. Is it your money, honey?
Or is it
our honey? Money. Oh, money, honey. Sorry. It's honey before money.
Our honey money. That's how you know you're tired. Is it your money or is it our honey? Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, it's the honey money. It's combined, it's sweet.
Yeah, hopefully it's sweet money. Because some people have really bitter money.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, because we did some research, and what did it say about marriages that end up in divorce?
Let me read it. Maybe you want to read it. Maybe you want to talk about our perspective first before
just read it before we go into the detail.
All right. Yeah. All right. Let me check. I have it on my phone. So they say yeah. Well,
a source on the
source
internet, quite researched. Yeah.
Research said 42% of the U.S. adults said that they have disagreements about money with their partners. Regularly. Of those, like half of those, 24%, said they have it weekly or even monthly. And then we have the other source that says that 20 to 40% of all divorces are because of financial problems or financial issues.
Okay.
And 10 of those marriages, like there are 4 of those 10 marriages basically that got divorced. Those divorced marriages, those 10 divorced marriages, 4
out
of
of them
those got divorced because of finances,
financial
disagreements. So it is a thing. And there's a couple of others that I've been looking into where they say a lot of them actually start in debts. Like I think it was a number of 60% of the people go in their marriage with debts. And so yeah, it's like a real thing, and it's a thing that we need to talk about.
We understand that. Like going into your marriage with a debt, like both people coming in with debt is
it's our story.
Yeah, it's also
to
our
be honest,
story
it's
too,
our story because we met in Hawaii. At that time, you were not in a well condition,
like in a good place, financially also.
Yeah. And so you created debts. I had some because I wasn't really good with my finances, and I never really was. I wouldn't say I was taught, but let's say I did not have a lot of help when it comes to finances and how to save up properly or how to manage money properly. And so it affected me when I became older. And here in Germany, you can buy everything on Klarna or like on credit, and then you pay it off, or you paid.
Same in the US.
Like in 30 days you pay it. And if you forget it, you just, it's really bad for your credit score. Mm-hmm. So like my credit score in the beginning was very, very, very bad. It took my husband, who wasn't really from this place, to tell me about all of those things and teach me all of those things. And it was me teaching him, which is crazy if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah.
The thing is, my background, coming from Nigeria, we didn't really have much of the opportunity to take credit on anything. So basically, to buy something, you would have to, save up for it in a way, and eventually buy it when you're ready to buy it. And you had more options to save because like the bills were not so high, and there was no taxes going up from your money. Like like you had the opportunity to save your money for what you wanted to buy. So most people were used to buying things cash. In some parts, that there are some things that you can't buy cash, where you can talk about paying installmentally, and that has to do with maybe a house.
So you paid it off.
So you pay it off. You can also go to the bank and take a credit, but the interest rate is like insane, like 25% or something, like crazy high interest rate. So most people will save up for what they wanted to buy. So that was my background when it came to finances and also credit.
Yeah, I mean, you also have an amazing family in that sense, because your mom also and your dad taught you a lot of good things when it comes to money.
I don't know if they taught me I don't know if they taught me that directly. Maybe it was indirectly. By observing.
Yeah, yes.
So how they lived, like they're very, like my mom especially, is very business oriented, and she managed money very well. So I also just crazy. I watched her too, and throwback, like I had a very not so good experience with money growing up.
Nope, you did not. Tell me, honey, what happened in your childhood?
Yeah, let's just put it this way: I was taking stuff that didn't belong to me, like the nicest way possible. Like I had a stealing habit. To put it plain, I just loved to just take what didn't belong to me, and I would take like money in like huge chunks, so they don't suspect that it was me that took it. Because if it was too little, they would be like, "Yeah, you took it," because the money is little. So I would take it at like huge chunks, and I'll just go to school and just spend it. And so my early encounter with money was not the best. Like it actually, made my family very sad. back then I was staying with
Grandma.
my grandparents, and yeah, it wasn't really fun, man. I was spanked crazy multiple times because of this whole thing. It didn't really stop me. Like, it just made me think of a better way to.
I mean, now also in your life, it helped you in a way because you're always very creative in how to.
Yeah, but that was not the reason
No,
why
of course
that
not.
that came to be, because before every like they were so tough on me and just spanking or whatever, and I would find a way to to take it, to take the money without being caught next time. Of course, eventually you get caught because when you're stealing, you get greedy and you just want to go back again and take stuff.
Mm.
So yeah, my mom was quite emotional one period about the whole thing because she didn't know what to do anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they had tried everything and nothing was working. And funny wise, it was when she was crying and
In tears and upset.
she was crying and talking to one of pastor friends of hers about the whole thing. So more than anything else, more than the spanking, the scolding, the shouting, the everything, actually that was what
Made you
got me the most. That made me try to stop at least, because before I wasn't even trying to stop. I was just trying to find a better way to do it. I was like, whoa, you got caught, you got spanked. What did you learn? Don't get caught next time.
Yeah.
Let's go.
See this man.
Oh my goodness, man. And so
Meanwhile, if I did something, like, I would die of guilt. I took something from kindergarten when I was younger, and I took something that didn't belong to me. I died inside because I could not. I cried. I went to my mom. I was like, "Mom, I took something that did not belong to me," and I cried my eyes off because I could not lie, or I could not steal something. I always felt so guilty of it. So funny how
very different
different
how
we
different
are.
we grew up. Yeah, crazy. Yeah,
But,
that's true. That's true. So just to see my mom broken by the whole thing made me decide to start taking steps towards stopping.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't just stop overnight, but actually I was quite convinced about it that I even told my friend, I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to try to stop this behavior and everything. So we started the process. He didn't believe me because he's like, you stop? Okay, let's see. So I started the process. I don't even know when I stopped completely, but I did stop at some point completely. That when my grandma would lose something, she would, like, the first person she would suspect was
It would
me,
be- yeah.
because of the
Habit.
the history. And she would come to me and she'd be like, hey, did you take it? I'm like, no, I did not take it. And she would be like, oh, no, you did, or whatever. And then she will find it. And then she'll be like, so crazy. African parents don't know how to
No,
apologize.
they do not. They do not.
Oh my goodness. They don't know how to. In fact, they'll twist it. Instead of saying, I'm sorry for accusing you wrongly. No. They'll be like, yeah, you see, it's because you used to see before. That's why I said it was you. But see, I found it.
They will remind you.
Yeah, it's your fault now. That's why I
yes, sir.
blamed you, because you used to do it before. But a couple of times, like, she discovered, actually, after a couple of times, that I wasn't taking stuff anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the behavior stopped before I finished high school, because I did my high school with her. So crazy, it came to a point where my mom would give me money to keep for her,
Mm-hmm.
and I would go keep it, and I wouldn't spend a cent.
Mm.
For some reason, and I also give, like, credit to God for the transformation, but
Yeah.
for some reason I lost taste for taking money that didn't belong to me. Somehow
Can you imagine?
it just happened. I don't
Wow.
know how, but even till now, I cannot keep a cent.
A transformation completely.
A cent.
Renewal of your heart.
Like, if I have
Yeah.
anybody's money in my account, it stays there, and the moment I have the chance, I transfer.
Yeah.
And I do fast transfer. I don't even want to see it,
Mm-mm.
So that transformation that happened there, to the point that, now I'm the one supporting. I'm sending money
Yeah.
supporting.
True.
They have other support also, but I'm one of those that also
Help
support them once in a while. And going from that history to this. And then I started traveling.
Yeah.
Started discovering about credit and whatever credit score. Got to learn more about it, mostly in the States.
Yeah.
But I never really had enough credit score to even take money from anywhere. Like you have to have some kind of income to be able to pay. So I never really got into it. But I knew that whenever I started dealing with that topic, I would want to have a perfect score. Because for me, I was just thinking score. And score for me was like great.
Gotcha. Now
For
a
a
lot of
Nigerian.
things. Now a lot of things make sense. Like it makes sense. It just makes sense.
I wasn't really thinking about the credit or whatever. I'm like, oh, if you're gonna have a score, you better have a good score. Like if you're gonna have a grade, you better have a good grade. You know.
That's why you constantly checking.
Oh yeah, check it. I don't want to go down on my score.
Wait. That's why you constantly checking your
Oh, yeah.
score.
Even now in Germany, I have an app and I pay them. I'm like, hey, I want to see my score every time. I want to see what's going on. And if it goes down, I'm like,
yeah, it makes you so mad.
I'm like, I did nothing wrong. Like, how do you calculate this crap? Like, what is happening? Today it's down, tomorrow it's up. I'm like, what are you using to calculate? Like, all the bills are paid. And when you try to get like a report, it tells you that there is no negative entrance into your
Shufa.
It's called Shufa, into your credit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, so what's the reason why it's going down and going up? And at some point, I just stopped. Looking. I only look when I really want to make like a very important transaction.
But in the beginning, it was like it was a fight point. Actually, it was a point where we had a lot of discussions about this. Oh my goodness. And we would fight about this because for me, I was just coming from a background where my family did not have a good credit score at all. And so we never were able to like get a house or credits or things like this. So my parents always had to get everything by themselves, basically. And so for me, I never knew about those things. I never knew about credit scores. I didn't know that when I don't pay bills or they delay or things, they can go into my credit score, which then can end up that I can't really buy a house or can't get good credit or things like this, and affects even my partner. And so all those things was just
at the beginning, man. I was so mad.
He would be so mad at me, like
I'm
really,
like, why
really,
the
really
heck
upset.
is your score so bad?
Yeah, he would be so mad at me.
I'm trying to get a phone, a simple phone. I was like, I can't get it. What's going on? Actually, then I was trying to get a camera also. Remember?
Yeah, he was trying to get a camera for me, and then it didn't work out. Because you wanted to start your own business.
My photography business, yeah. So I was like, it didn't work out. I was like, okay, I guess we have to wait until we're ready to build a score. So crazy. Like I came with my own baggage.
Yeah.
And she came with hers.
We both have baggage.
And we had to learn something very crucial about finances.
Yes.
And like the debt that we had in the beginning, thank God it's paid.
All paid.
It's all paid now.
It's all paid.
Of course, you get new debts as you go, but it's a different kind of debt.
It's a different kind of debt. Yeah. It's an intentional debt.
It's an intentional debt that you need for something very important. For example, to buy the land that we have, you take a credit from the bank to buy the land. The land grows in value, so you can still get the money back from the land to pay the loan. So it's a different kind of debt, you know. It was like intentional debt now, but we had to learn a lot as regards finances.
Man, seriously, where we started and where we are right now is just night and day, completely. Because we taught ourselves so many things. Like, I would say you taught me a lot of things because I did not know about a lot of things that I did not know about investment. To be honest, we are the first family in my family that is able to get a house or a
property,
a property, and is able to build a house. We are also the first family like that drives nice cars like we do, and like all that kind of stuff. So if for us, it's like, for me, it's a big deal. It's huge. I grew up in a very I don't want to like be disrespectful towards my parents because it's not necessarily my parents' fault. I do believe that there are things they could have done better, but just the circumstances also cost where
Was
they are right
different.
now. But
But you were telling me that your dad did a lot for you guys to go to school.
yes,
So he
like
paid
I
he
mean,
sacrificed a lot for
yes,
you guys
all
to go to
through
school. Yeah.
that, I never lacked on good education. So I went to
Mm-hmm.
a private school, which
Mm-hmm.
cost money.
Yeah.
And when my parents were not able to pay, they
Mhm.
would go there and my dad would do work there, labor work there to fix like the rails or fix things in the house it was so embarrassing for me because I knew he did that because my brothers didn't know, but I knew that he did that because he couldn't pay the school bill. But he never ever took us out of that school. We moved around a lot. We never stayed in the house for a very long time, but we always had a stable school. And wherever we were always in that school, in that private school.
Yeah.
And so, like in that sense, I never lacked. I never lacked on clothes or never lacked on things. I always had birthday gifts and
Mm-hmm.
Christmas gifts.
Oh yeah. They
Like
always make
it's
that happen.
huge.
Yeah.
Like I would not lack on anything.
And
But
even journeys. You guys took some trips.
yes, we always
Had
took
some
trips.
adventures.
Like I even went to the States when I was
Mm-hmm.
younger, with 8 or 9 years old. And we would go and travel to Sweden, to France, to like different places. With the private school, I traveled a lot. So we traveled to Paris, to England, to Prague, like different places. And so like I did not lack on those things, but I lacked of knowledge and example
Mm-hmm.
and teaching me finance and investments and saving money and those things. I mean, I worked hard. I started working very
Mm-hmm.
early with 14 years
Yeah,
as a
sure.
babysitter. And so, yeah, I mean, it's different. If I would compare mine with your family, I would say your family is even richer in that sense.
I mean, I wouldn't say they're richer. I mean, right now they're more comfortable than they used to be.
Yeah.
Because the history is different.
The history is
The
different.
history is different.
But
Because my
I
dad,
mean, our history is similar in
quite
this.
similar in
It's
how
quite
we
similar
started.
how
Yeah.
we started because my
Yeah.
family struggled a lot as
Yeah.
well
How we
in
started.
comparison to where we are.
Yeah.
So,
It's quite similar because my dad was an accountant. He studied and he graduated as an accountant.
mm,
And my mom also studied for a bit. But then my dad was the only one working at the beginning,
mm,
and he was a manager at a transportation company. Quite respectable role that he had at that time. And then he felt the urge to quit his job and go into full-time ministry as a pastor. He didn't want to do it, but for some reason God wouldn't let him be.
mm,
And so you will see the background, like the spiritual background that I have is also from my family. Like my dad is a pastor, my mom is also a pastor, although she also works full-time. My dad is into the ministry like completely, so became a pastor, and of course that came with struggles financially. And so the beginning was so tight, so tough, that there was a period that my mom would go sell newspapers that were already like old,
yeah.
that were already used,
Yeah.
just to raise some money. And so it was tight.
While being pregnant.
While being pregnant, heavily pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my dad actually felt so bad that a couple of times he wanted to just stop the ministry and just go get a job.
Yeah.
But somehow God wouldn't let him do it.
Yeah.
Like on his way to get it, he's like, he couldn't.
Yeah.
Not because he wasn't good at it. He was very good at it. He was educated in that direction. So he was like, why, And he also struggled a bit in ministry. There was a time that he was comfortable in ministry, and then there was an attack in ministry that he had to leave the ministry that he was in into a newer one, which also started another kind of struggle. So
Yeah.
financially, from the background, it was not easy.
Yeah.
Which was one of the reasons why I had to go stay with my grandparents.
Yeah.
So I can do my high school there, because
It's cheaper.
and also I would get to learn the language,
Yeah.
but the finances, the cost also played a role in that decision.
Yeah.
Now that all worked together for my good and for theirs too, but there was a lot of struggle in the beginning. But now, to be in a place that God has blessed, my family, blessed my dad, blessed my mom a lot through my dad, actually, because he doesn't work, but most of the connections that my mom has came through him in a way.
Yeah, it's true.
And also he's quite, wise in, in a lot of his decisions. So to see them now, my mom, my mom is traveling the world now.
She's traveling more than we are. Like anybody that I know, like she travels, I think next month she's going to go to the States.
Yeah.
She went to Cuba,
to Pakistan,
to Israel. Canada is on our list.
She has a Canadian visa for 8 years.
She has a Canadian visa for.
I don't know when I'm gonna go. I'm not sure.
She's just crazy, and she does it just like that.
She just fly like crazy. And funny enough, we started flying before her, with Y1 with missions, and now she's like
just
ministry,
chatting
everywhere.
The world.
Yeah, and
it's just crazy.
That was the person that at some point in her life, it was so tough.
Yeah.
That she couldn't even afford, have an equivalence of today's conversion, €1 or €2. That's how bad it was.
Yeah.
That we had to borrow that.
I mean, it was similar in our case. There were days where we couldn't go to school because we did not have the fuel to fill our car, and we couldn't go to school. And there were days where my parents had to get all the fun flushing.
You need to explain what that is.
That's like bottles. And in Germany, if you give your plastic bottles,
if you recycle them,
you get money back.
Yeah.
So like 25 cents. And so we would get the whole house, we would go through the whole house to get all of those bottles.
Sounds like fun.
Just to
bottle scavenging.
be able to get some spaghetti and some tomato sauce.
Oh my goodness.
And there were days where we were in the car and the car did not have fuel, but it was still riding. It was still going. And we prayed. And then the moment we stopped praying, the car just stopped. And the moment we started praying again, the car started riding and going again and moving. So we saw miracles. Literally, I grew up in the household where we saw miracles. We saw money just going in and out of our hands, just out of nowhere. We just had money in our post box, crazy stuff happening. And so God really blessed us, but also, also we had it tough.
Yeah, but now your parents are daycare parents.
They're daycare. They are blessing us sometimes with just crazy amount of money, and I'm like, wait, what? What's going on?
They now have their own business.
Yes.
They're their own bosses,
Yeah.
and it's a whole story by itself.
Yeah, for my 3 little younger ones, it's not the
same as it was for you. No.
It's not, and I'm happy for them. I'm really happy for them. But one thing that I really learned throughout these years that I'm happy about to learn through our relationship is really the part of investment and money and in how to handle money, because I grew up in a culture where everyone is working and they have their own money. Even in their marriage, somehow they have their own money. I mean, in my family, it wasn't like that because my dad was mostly the main worker. And so my mom had also access to their account. Sometimes it was even on my mom's name. Although my dad was working, so they paid it into my mom's account. So we always had just one account basically in our family. So for me, that never really was a big issue. But
in the
society, I would say, in the society that we are in, it's a real big deal. It's if I work as a lady, if I work as a woman, it's my money. You have your own money and I have my money. I have my bank account and you have your bank account. And then we share the cost of our rent. We share the cost of different things, and that's it. And it's a normal thing. The thing is that it doesn't bring unity.
No, it doesn't.
It does not bring unity. And God wants unity, and He wants that you working together and that you become one. That just doesn't mean in one as in person. sexually, mentally, spiritually. It also
Financially.
means financially. It means for a woman sometimes to give up that position or the work to be at home
Mm-hmm.
and relying on, first of all, God, that
Mm-hmm.
He will provide, and then secondly, your husband, that He will provide. Because let me tell you, it is not easy. For somebody that is very independent, it is not easy to just say, okay, I'm just going to stay at home and I'm going to trust.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to trust the Lord, and I'm going to trust my husband that He's going to provide.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have to rely on you, and I have to rely on God that He's going to do it.
Yes.
And it's not easy, and it's very uncomfortable for a lot of people, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to do it.
Yeah. Especially with the thought of what happens if you get divorced.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, and it attacks you.
And what if you're left with nothing in
Yeah.
that sense, So you have that mentality in that. Like when it comes to finances and the security of my family,
Mm.
it's so important to me that I even have a life insurance in case I'm not there, that I don't leave my family with a debt that they can't pay.
Yeah.
That's how much important it is for me to secure my family financially.
Yeah.
And whoever uses finances as a weapon against their partner,
that's evil.
it's a height of wickedness.
Yeah.
Because you know that they are vulnerable and they cannot do anything.
No.
Which they chose intentionally because of the union or the promises that you made together. And God sees that.
Yeah.
And that's a wickedness that will make even the wealth that you have not enjoyable to you.
Yeah.
Because the truth is this.
Yeah.
Money comes and goes. And
yeah.
when you're sick or when you're laying on the bed and about to die, you're not thinking about money, you're thinking about your family. But if you've hurt your family in the process of making money,
yeah, you're gonna get reminded. You definitely gonna be like, oh shoot, I shouldn't have done that.
And actually, the reason why it's very important, why it's actually very crucial to talk about, this topic. When you met me, I didn't have much of it.
No.
I was really struggling, and
I
so
was the one getting you deodorant and like food, and I was like, hey, what do you want to have?
What do you want? So she was the one giving me.
And I didn't really care.
And I wasn't used to that because before then I had all that I needed. But for some reason, there was a crisis during that period. My parents couldn't help me. I didn't have much in that period. And so it was quite tough.
Yeah,
and then she came in that period. And so even when we moved to Germany, or first to Sweden and then to Germany, and I came back to Germany officially on the reunion visa.
Yeah.
That told me, okay, now I can stay officially in Germany. I couldn't work immediately because there's a process before you can even get a job, language, certificates, whatever.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard.
Crazy. If you think it's hard in the US,
it's very hard in Germany. It's very hard. Even for somebody that doesn't have like a degree or anything like that, it's very hard. I think it's becoming more easier now.
I don't know though.
It's becoming more easier.
Okay.
Like in some certain areas, like as a seller, for example, you can work as a seller even without having.
True. But I never. That's not. That was not.
But
and also, what you want to do actually also decides if getting the job is going to be hard or not.
Of course, like for you would start in a whole different level because you studied also. Okay, so I never really studied, and so for me, I just finished. I don't know how it is in the States. In Germany, it's Abitur.
Yeah, it'll be high school, but I would say the Abitur in Germany is quite higher than the normal high school.
Yeah, it's like high school and college somehow together.
It's a combination a little bit. Yeah,
because after that you can go to university when you finish the school.
I mean, same with high school you can go to university, but the standard of high school and Abitur is different. Because in Abitur you stay longer actually.
Yes,
than
so you're 18
than the normal school. Yeah. So
yeah, so I finished that, but I never really got the chance to study. Not yet. But yeah, because of various reasons, family and whatever. So for me, like my job was like it was limited to the things that I could do. Like it mostly could do things that were like either selling
A service.
things like of a service thing, like um waitress
Mm-hmm.
selling, all this kind of stuff. Um I mean in Sweden I worked in an elderly home um
As a caregiver.
as a caregiver. So I could work in those areas too, but just very limited. And yeah. And so for me, of course, it's different than for you because you start completely differently.
Yeah.
Like your process is different because you already studied, and so you're not looking into those kind of jobs. You're looking
Mm-hmm.
into a higher paid job and a job that is in your direction. So
But
yeah, it's a
funny, at the
different thing.
beginning, I had to do something else. I actually, Nigerians call it laborer job. I actually had to go help
A
a
landlord.
landlord then and his brother. I had to go help them shovel sand and build bricks and like just manual labor work
Yeah,
because I didn't want to just stay at home
and do
and do
nothing.
nothing
Yeah.
or not just do because I was not doing nothing. I didn't want to not bring in money in a way, no matter how little it
Because
was, you know?
yeah, it was hard. It wasn't
Yeah.
easy
It was
because
very
I was
tough.
working.
Yeah.
I got this job shortly before you came. It was like in March, and I was still like in my trial months, and it was like really tough because in the beginning of the months, the first 2 or 3 months was very tough because it was a very new thing for me, and it was very active selling. For those who don't know, those I don't know, some of you might know Lush. That's like natural handmade cosmetics, and it's very active selling. So if you go into that store, people will be like, "Oh yeah, can I show you some products?" And then they go wash their hands, and it's all about an experience, creating an experience. So it's like very active selling, and you somehow combine everything with everything, and there's like a lot of methods to it that
Yeah.
teach you. And so like for me, it was like very it was a lot. Like it was a
Yeah.
lot for me to learn because I came out from being a nanny because that's what I did last then. Nanny,
Yeah.
caregiver. That was mostly the work that I did before I started this. And before that I was a waitress. So I did waitress, I did barista, I did, being a nanny, I did caregiver, and then I never really did selling. So selling is very active. And so we struggled in the beginning, and then eventually when they were like, okay, you getting better, you get more hours also, I had to really fight for every hour that I could get.
Yeah, it was tough. But yeah, you did a good job. They actually wanted to make you
Manager or
an
assistant
assistant manager at
manager.
some point. That's how good
Yeah.
she became. But yeah, it was crazy that at the beginning I couldn't work. So
Oh yeah.
even while I was in Nigeria trying to process my visa, I remember a time when she sent some money to me, wrapped in a package, like folded and squeezed into a package,
Yeah.
so they wouldn't know that it was money. So she
Yeah.
sent a gift, and then she wrapped the the money in the gift and everything. So even then, she was the main one bringing the money, even when I
Yeah.
came in. So my dream, because for most African men, no Nigerian men, I don't know in general, or men, we like to be the one to provide.
Yeah.
It feels weird if we're not providing and our wives are doing the providing. Like we have no
Yeah.
issue with the wives also getting their own money or working to get money,
Yeah.
but we like to be like somehow the main provider of the
Yeah.
house. So at the beginning, I couldn't do that, and it was quite tough for me. But it was also a good time because I could observe how she handled
Money.
money and also how she looked at me
Yeah.
or treated me in a time when I couldn't
Yeah.
provide.
Yeah.
And that was the period when we started, thinking or cultivating this behavior around finances.
Yeah.
Because there was a time when at the beginning she'd be like, "Oh yeah, I got my money.
Yeah.
I got my money in my account." I'm like, "Yeah, we can go. Yeah, I can just give my money." And I'm like, so at some point I was like, "Okay, I mean, I understand what you mean when you
Yeah.
say I got my money,
Yeah.
but is it your money?
Is it our money?
or is it our money?
And I think it was really important because there was a time that impacted your, like, you get this, because in your home, it's your mom working and your
Mm-hmm.
dad being at home,
Mm-hmm.
or like actually not really be at home because he has his
A
full-time
ministry.
ministry.
Yeah.
But your mom is the one working,
Mm-hmm.
but you would never hear from her mouth saying it's my money.
Yeah.
Never. It's somehow always their money, our
Mm-hmm.
money. And so like that also affected us and how we saw this whole thing too. And it was so interesting because we started changing that habit of saying, instead of saying my, it's ours.
It was a
Even with
practice.
our kids now,
Yeah.
we really trying to say
Oh yeah,
not
you're like, oh,
my
my kids,
kids,
my kids, or
it's
our kids.
our kids. And so
Yeah.
like even we have to remind ourselves even now, like sometimes I need to remind you now
Mm-hmm.
that it's not your money, it's
Mm-hmm.
our
It's
money.
our money. Yeah.
So because men get into that too.
True, we do.
They say my
We
car
do. We
or
do.
my
Yeah,
money.
We do.
So it's a thing. If
Yeah.
you don't watch
You
out
don't
for
watch it. You go into that
easily,
that what do you call
because
it?
that's how human beings are.
Mine.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how one of the first words that you get as a child.
Even kids are like, oh,
Even
my
kids,
stuff,
yeah,
mine,
it's
mine. Yeah.
mine. And so like we always want to get everything for ourselves. And so it starts early on in our lives. And so
Mm-hmm.
like we continue, and if we're not careful enough, we're just going to continue like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why it's so
No,
important.
but it was very good for me because one thing that I noticed that I actually appreciated was your level of how would you call it, teachability, that you could learn, because like it was a bit different for you at the beginning, that you had to learn, you had to be teachable to change how you felt, because like you're a very independent person.
Yeah.
Crazy, you've been independent from a very young age.
Yeah.
And also add a sprinkle of stubbornness to it.
Yeah.
You know, because you needed that to thrive and to survive, especially in a very tough time,
Yeah.
a very hard time.
Yeah.
So like you're like a goal getter, you know. So you've always been working. You've always had to, from a very long time ago, you've always had to get your money and pay. You even put your money together to pay for your license, for your driver's license.
Yeah, man, step by step.
Step by step, put together. And you know, to buy a laptop also.
No, that I then got
as a gift.
Yeah, as a gift from my parents.
So yeah, like you had to put money together to do a lot of stuff, you know. So learning this new perspective of wait, I'm not married and the money that I get is no longer just mine, it's ours. I saw that. I saw how you transformed, and I also saw the humility that you brought to it, because I saw that also in my mom, where she would make the money and just go to my dad and say, okay, so how do we spend this? You know, which is, it's a very big step to take, you know. And so when I saw that in you, my desire to be the one to provide so you don't have to worry about money anymore grew.
Yeah. Wow.
Which motivated me to start doing anything
to
support, you know, financially. So make sure that I get the job, make sure that I get whatever I need to get so you don't have to worry about money anymore, you know. Did all the odd jobs just to bring in some money in. But then when I had the opportunity and then I got a job, I was so excited. But the first thing we did was, hey, quit your job, we're moving. Finally, I was like, now I can provide. She doesn't have to be the one to always work and bring in money. I can now do something that would bring in good money that could take care of.
I was still working.
Yeah, take care of us. And so we moved. And so you had to quit your job that was very good paid back then. We moved, and you were still doing some stuff on the side, like a mini job, you know,
as a service,
as a waitress, you know.
Yeah.
But then after Jason came,
stopped
completely, up till now.
Up to now,
you know. So
I mean, now I'm employed in your company, or in our company,
in our company, you know.
And I mean, I'm doing social media for us.
Yeah,
so.
That's crazy, because coming from that, from a small space, small room, to an apartment, you know, to having our own company where you just said that you didn't really get to study, which I've been pushing that also. I'm like, hey, you need to study, you need to study.
I will eventually.
But you should not study because you want to get a job.
No,
because
I want to study because I want to have
now.
Yeah,
I
want
to study to get the exposure of knowledge,
yeah,
and I think it's good, in a sense. But for your background, now I'm being employed in our company, we own the company, and being like an assistant to the CEO. How do you feel about being an assistant to the CEO?
It's nice. It's nice. I mean, it's funny because it's like it's still something that we struggle like as women, and I think that's something that we should talk about in one episode, how it is to be a mother and to decide to just be at home and decide different things.
Yes.
As a mother, a wife. I think that's like a topic that we should talk and we should address also in one episode.
Mm-hmm.
But it does attack you here and there because you're like, oh yeah, is it now our company or is it his company?
Mm-hmm.
Am I, is it the same? Are people going to be like, oh yeah, it's just, your husband's company and you working in it? Is that really, you didn't really achieve anything? But then you not really want to, it's not about you showing off and wanting to achieve something. It's
and you
not really
forget
about
that without you, your husband wouldn't have been able to take some steps that he took.
Yeah.
Because the only reason why I can invest so much time in the company is because you get to invest so much time in our kids.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's going to always be a partnership. Because if one part was suffering.
Or even agreeing to do different things, like deciding to cut down on different areas. Like, is it, I don't know, living in an apartment or like different things. And so I think it is important that you have one another and you need one another to achieve things in your life.
And then you learn selfishness. You discover actually when it comes to finances that you can be selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And I also discovered how selfish I could be when it came to finances.
He can be, yeah. Sometimes.
So I had to
when I feel like I want to buy something.
Yeah. I mean, that's another topic. My wife always finds a sale. Now, I think that's a problem every man experiences. That's not the part that I'm selfish in. That's the part that she needs control and self-control in.
I'm getting better at it. I'm good at it. I'm not it's not like I'm every week going home with something.
No, I mean, not anymore.
No, I'm not.
Before, yes, every week. Oh, I found a sale every time.
When it comes to my children,
and I'm
wasn't even about me.
Even then, we didn't have kids. Don't even put it on the kids yet.
It was my husband.
Wait. No.
Yes, because I did not like I like to buy
and it was on
things
sale.
for others.
I was like, babe, do you know that there will always be stuff on sale?
Yes.
Every time.
I know.
And sale is actually the real price that they now selling to you now.
Yeah. I
the
know.
other price was overpriced because the company is still going to make profit anyway. Yeah. So I was like, hey, I like it. It's a good deal, but do we really need this stuff?
Yeah.
And that was my part trying to help based on the background that she came from.
I had like overflow or too much. And I think
like overspending without checking or control. Yeah. And for me, I almost started taking it towards the selfish part of not spending at all, Yeah. So I had to balance it up because normally you can spend on things that you think is important.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's so important to sit down and say, hey, this is important to me and this is important to you. Yeah. And let's just share and say, okay, this is how much we have in a month and this is what we need. And so that's sometimes why I do to you. I'm like, okay, this is what we need to pay. So the kids need new clothes. I don't have clothes anymore. So we need to spend things like this.
That's the phrase that she likes to say. I don't have clothes anymore. That's the fun part.
I'm like, look in my, literally look into my closet.
I mean, not now anymore, but right now, like I don't have clothes anymore.
I've really minimized my closet.
We're talking about it and we're actually making the joke. She was like, look. And then she opened the closet. She was like, see? I don't have clothes anymore. I'm like, babe, did you wash your clothes? She was like, yeah, I did. I'm like, where are they? She's like, it's outside. I'm like, so why are you showing me an empty closet?
Because I had to use
It's like,
those
yeah, I mean, it's the best time to show you my closet when there are no clothes in it. See, I don't have clothes.
I had to be dramatic, and I had to use the opportunity of of this momentum.
I'm like, babe, I like every time you want to get something, you're like, I don't have clothes. I'm like, if I feel like I have like the most poorest wife in the world that has no clothes at all.
And it's
Like-
always Sundays.
When she has to dress to church, that's when she discovers that she doesn't have any clothes anymore.
The thing is, I mostly have like sportive attires, like casual things for daily life because I'm a mom, and so like you need comfy things or like sport things. Even that I don't really have much now, but yeah, but like I mostly have that, and so sometimes I really struggle with having nice.
Fancy clothes.
Okay, yeah, because we're going to an African church,
Mm-hmm.
mostly African church, and so you need to have a special kind of
You need to have
clothing. I can't go like
underdressed.
I can't go in jeans with holes in it and high heels.
I mean, depends on how big the holes are.
Yeah, I could
Yeah.
like I could do that in a live church, in the church that we used to go, but I can't do that now,
Mm-hmm.
especially not with you being the co-pastor.
I mean, it's a different setting. Even they don't dress like, not every one of them dresses so decent in that sense.
Yeah,
But like the style that we have
is
to dress is
a lot of
also
bling bling.
different. Bling bling, yeah. For a lot of the women, yeah, I would
Yes.
say bling bling. But
And
them-
there's a lot of pressure that you men don't know.
yeah.
You don't know about that pressure. The pressure that a woman has to look good
Mm-hmm.
because they look at you, especially if you. I'm starting to say that, but if you're a white woman in an
Mhm.
African church,
Mm-hmm.
they look at you even more
True.
because they will like, oh, what does that man see in her? And so that pressure of dressing well is very, very, very hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have like 2 little kids, so you need to look good in your body shape, and so like it's a lot of pressure to be a
I
woman.
mean, it is. It's not. Yeah. Yeah. We cannot underlook or overlook
So,
that.
but yeah, anyways,
But anyway, that was the issue also when it came to, finances in general, that I had to discover what was important to her and what was
Yes.
important to me. And I had to be willing to invest in something that she thought was important,
Mhm.
even though I didn't think so.
Yeah.
Because that's the part where selfishness is dealt with.
Yeah.
And God had to speak to me a lot. And God reminded me. And that's why the foundation is very good.
Yes, so
God
yes, so-
reminded me of when she was working.
Yeah.
Every time when I try to be selfish, every time, God will always remember what she
Mm.
did. And so the seed you sow, I mean, the seed, how do you call it? You sow, whatever.
You see the seed that
Whatever
you
you
sow.
planted, the seed that you planted.
Isn't the other way around?
What?
That you have the seed that you okay. matter.
Whatever seed you planted, is still bearing fruit
Yeah.
in my heart, even when some kind of selfishness tries
Yeah.
to, come up. Because
Wow.
God reminds you, like, hey, remember when you were in Hawaii? Remember when you were back in Nigeria?
Yeah.
Remember when you came to Germany? How you all started? Do you remember?
And for me, it was just
For her, she doesn't think about it.
no, I was just obedient.
She just
or
did
like,
whatever,
I just did
and
it
and she
because I felt
never
like
ever mentions it to me and say, "Oh, I remember when you were not working." Nope,
I
she never brings it up, but it's still in my head.
because for me it was like of
Yeah.
course
For her, it was like
selbstverständlich
self-German. In German.
like of course I would do that. It's like
Yeah.
a common like a normal thing for me to do that. If my husband can't,
I
step
do
in.
it. Yeah,
I'll do it. I'll
So,
do it. And
but for me, it was
love it when you
special
do it.
because of my background. Because normally, in the African culture, like the man is like the provider, and most women don't really work. They stay at home with the kids, which is like a huge work by itself. But they don't really have like a corporate job in that sense. So, but like the humility that she showed,
Mm.
at the beginning that you did, what you did, how you served, even when I couldn't do much, like planted a seed,
Yeah.
that even till now, it's still because another thing that happens to men when their status financially changes, if you're not godly or Christian, is that you begin to look at other options.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that goes along with money.
With money, yes.
Wow.
It does.
I didn't know.
Because now you feel you have more options.
Oh, wow.
Now the hot girl or the hot girl that you couldn't get before because you were broke, now maybe you can try
because
and get
you
them.
thought you couldn't get it because you were broke.
That's what you thought,
Yeah.
So a lot of men, once they become comfortable, instead of spending the money on the woman who helped them build this wealth, who was there for them even when they had nothing, who loved them for who they really were until now, they automatically begin to look somewhere else to impress some girl who wasn't there from the beginning.
Wow.
And that's where you can see finances also destroying homes indirectly, in the sense that it gives this man a false sense of security that now the person who built wealth with you is no longer good enough.
So actually, what you did before when the woman was working to check finances, now the woman should do that with the man as well.
I mean, I wouldn't say, you can try to check. If you don't have that as a behavior or principle, doesn't matter how much the woman checks. You can't control that.
Okay. It's interesting behavior though.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't think because a woman wouldn't think that way. Because I have money, I'm just going to go get another man.
It's not very common among women. There are women who do that. Like, actually, there are women who are very proudful and have
masculine.
And also control their husbands because they're the ones earning the money.
Yeah.
It exists. So it's not also very common, especially in Europe. One of the fears that my family or other families had from Nigeria when they discovered that I was dating a European or a German, they're like, oh, she's just going to control your life. And she won't even let you come visit your parents anymore. Like, she'll decide what you do. And so they were so skeptical about the whole thing that when they saw my wife in Nigeria sweeping the floor and doing stuff and cooking food, and they're like, which Oyibo be this one? Which fake Oyibo be this? One of my neighbors was like, if not so Oyibo be, then all of us going to marry Oyibo now. Because they
not knowing that I understand what she's saying.
Oh yeah, she understood the pidgin language and everything. So there's a preconception.
Yeah, it is.
And it's also based on some experiences, which they have made into the majority.
Yeah.
Same thing.
With black men that came to marry older women so they can get the papers and money and and then later.
Sadly, you still have that. You
still have that.
People who are desperate and so they come and just marry for economical benefits.
But you have that not just in black and white. You have that in different cultures as well. So
but for some reason, it's more emphasized when it comes to the black community. Yeah,
black and white stands out more. That's just a fact. You wouldn't notice it with Turkish and white. That is not
not a big contrast.
That's not a big contrast. And so it has to do with the contrast, I think, between the white and black. And so because of that, it stands out more and it makes more publicity. But I'm sure that there's a lot of stories in other cultures as well.
Oops, technical issues to be continued.